Expected points, clean sheet odds, captaincy, and players to buy. This video has got all the information you need to know for Game Week 20. We're going to start off the video by talking about the top players for expected points by position. Starting off with the goalkeepers, with Sheffield United at home. Ederson is the top goalkeeper for Game Week 20 for expected points according to DraftHound, closely followed by Martinez of Aston Villa with Burnley at home, Alisson in third place, followed by Raya, Vicario, Pickford, Henderson, Onana, Flecken and Areola. Next up, we've got the defenders. Trent Alexander-Arnold is almost 1 point ahead of the rest of the defenders in the game. He's got Newcastle at home, 6.4 expected points is his expected total. Kyle Walker in second place, followed by Ruben Diaz, Zinchenko, Luca Dean, bit of a doubt as to whether he'll play, Gvardiol, Pedro Porro, Virgil van Dijk, Saliba and Ben White are the top defenders. Onto the midfield, and no surprise to see Mo Salah top the list. I really do feel that Liverpool will do well against Newcastle, particularly from an attacking perspective, judging by how well Newcastle played against Nottingham Forest. 7.8 expected points for Mo Salah, closely followed by Phil Foden, obviously off the back of, well, an excellent game against Everton. He's got 7.3 expected points against Sheffield United at home. Son is in third place. Saka, Odegaard, Bernardo Silva, Cole Palmer, Kulusevski, Luis Diaz and Bowen are your top midfielders. Onto the forwards, and we've got Julian Alvarez topping the list. Sheffield United at home, obviously a really nice fixture for Man City. 7.4 expected points. In second place, we've got Ollie Watkins with 6.6. Burnley at home, obviously a good fixture for Aston Villa as well. Then there's a bit of a gap. We've got Gabriel Jesus, Haaland. He's obviously doubtful, and the expected points reflect that. Solanke, Nicholas Jackson, Darwin Núñez, Cunha, João Pedro and Højlund are the top forwards. Captaincy then for Game Week 20 is, well, I think a really close one between, well, all six of these players, to be honest. I'd probably say Phil Foden of the six, despite him being relatively high for expected points, is the one that I wouldn't want to put the captaincy on, just because you don't know what you're going to get with him most games, to be honest. He seems to be reasonably inconsistent, and to be honest, you don't know if he's going to play either. There could be, the odd game that he gets benched in. Salah's obviously top for expected points. He'll probably be my captain. I mean, you just can't go wrong with Mo Salah, in my opinion. Alvarez, we know he's the penalty taker now for Man City when Haaland isn't on the pitch. He took a penalty against Everton. Son, I expect him to be the pen taker for Spurs. Bournemouth at home is a good fixture for them. I don't think Bournemouth are that clever defensively. Despite keeping a few clean sheets this season, I do think Spurs will score a few goals in that game. Likewise, Watkins against Burnley, I think he could do really well. Trent against Newcastle, another decent option. The good thing about Trent, and I've sold him in previous videos as well, but he can get attacking returns and clean sheet points, which means he's got three routes to potentially getting points. He can get clean sheets, he can get goals, and he can get assists, and of course bonus points as well. He's actually really good for bonus points, and I'm not quite sure the DraftHound expected points algorithm factor in the bonus points that he could get. Yeah, all six of these guys, as I said, are genuine captaincy options this week. However, I think I'm going to stick it on Salah. Clean sheet odds then, and the top team to keep a clean sheet this week is Man City. I haven't seen a clean sheet odd this high so far this season. 67% to keep a clean sheet against Sheffield United. I mean, we'll see in reality how that actually looks, but yeah, I mean, you couldn't really ask for a more favourable fixture for them. Aston Villa in second place, 45% likely to keep a clean sheet against Burnley. Got Arsenal 44 against Fulham, Chelsea 42 against Luton, Liverpool, interestingly, 38% against Newcastle. I think the DraftHound algorithms are really favouring Newcastle as a poor team at the moment based on their current form, which I think you can kind of understand. Crystal Palace in 36%, Wolves with 31, and usually any team below 30 I don't like to back. Tottenham probably against Bournemouth, they've got a chance, but with Solanke being in such good form, I think he could well score in that game, but the attacking upside of some of those Spurs defenders probably makes up for it. So I'd say only really Tottenham outside of the 30% or below teams are the one I'd back basically to start defenders from. Now, I wondered if you could do me a favour. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure to leave a like rating, subscribe to the channel as well, set the notification bell so you can see when I upload next. If you're really enjoying the video, please consider joining as a channel member. You'll get early access to all of my videos, and when I deadline stream, I'll give you priority when I rate people's teams in Draft Hound. You can also, if you want to support the channel in a different way, check out my shop down below. You can buy yourself a golden goal sticker or a mug. All right, back to the video. A quick look then at some of my top transfer targets for Game Week 20. Starting off, we got Trent Alexander-Arnold. I spoke about him previously when going through the captaincy. I don't want people to think of him as a defender in FPL. I want him to be thought of as a player that can get returns through 3 different routes. So obviously he can get clean sheets, he can get goals, and he can get assists. Like, his attacking stats are pretty decent, and he's got 7 clean sheets on top of it. So across the season so far, he started 16 games and got 13 returns for 8.4 million. So, I mean, if that was a midfielder who, say, scored 13 goals from 16 starts, I think he'd be in most people's teams, and that's the kind of level of returns that Trent can get you. And he's been exceptional for bonus points. You know, they beat Burnley 2-0 away. You'd imagine the attacking players might have got the plaudits, but Trent came away with 3 bonus points from that game. So, yeah, I mean, he is the guy for bonus points for Liverpool, really. And I would say as a whole, Liverpool have improved defensively. Endo in the base of their midfield is really doing, well, wonders for them, in my opinion. He looks really good. So, yeah, I really like Trent as an option. And if you don't have him already, I wouldn't even let the tough fixtures coming up put me off. The only really tough one is Arsenal there. I think, you know, they can get points against Newcastle, obviously against Bournemouth, Chelsea, and then Burnley, with Arsenal, of course, being the tough fixture. Next up, Garnacho. Now, I'm not saying that Garnacho is the best player in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but what I am suggesting is that players are going to be wanting to sell Salah and Son sometime soon, right? And Haaland will be back sometime in January, according to Pep Guardiola. So we'll be looking, I imagine, to make a midfielder to striker transfer by, you know, basically changing either Salah or Son for Haaland. And most people, I think, sitting on a 3-5-2 formation at the moment. That comprises of 3 strikers still. Of course, you need to pick 3 strikers, but one of them will probably be in and around 4.5 million. So a natural potential transfer you could make is Salah to Haaland, and then trade the likes of Archer or Semenyo for someone like Garnacho. I think of all the sub 5 million midfielders at the moment, Garnacho is the best, and he is the first choice winger for Man United, whether he plays on the left or the right. With the way that he's been playing, he's probably one of the first names on Erik ten Hag's team sheet at the moment. Now, I'm not saying he's putting up amazing numbers by any stretch of the imagination, but he's less than 5 million, and, you know, you got to compare him to the likes of Archer and Semenyo, and I'd say he's on par with both of them, really, in terms of numbers. And as a player, and you've got to say, Man United are probably better than Sheffield United, right? They might not be better than Bournemouth, but, you know, comparing him to Archer at least, I think he's a better option. And yeah, just in general, I think if you're looking to change a midfielder for a striker and need to swap your 4.5 million players over, Garnacho is really a player to consider. Next up, I wanted to talk about Solanke. Now, I say Garnacho is not the best player in the game, but I think Solanke could well be. He is in sensational form. 8 goals in his last 7 games. He's the top player in the league for non-penalty expected goals in the last 5 game weeks, and I'm pretty sure Bournemouth is still either right up there or the #1 team for expected goals in that period too. He's now to start for them, plays 90 minutes, and of course takes the penalties. For me, those are like the trifecta of nice things to have in an FPL player. Nailed, 90 minutes, penalties. You know, when you take penalties, you can get a goal against any level of opposition. So a tough fixture, there's always a chance that that player could score if he's on penalties. And, you know, Solanke, like I said, he ticks all the boxes. He's putting up some really good numbers, and he's only 7 million. And I think with Salah and Son not being in the game for their AFCON and Asia Cup tournaments, the best formation in FPL is going to be 3-4-3. Spoke about that when I talked about Garnacho. Solanke has to be, in my opinion, one of those 3 strikers. And finally, I'm going out on a little bit of a limb talking about the Arsenal defence before they've actually played. I'm recording this on, what day is it? I forget what day of the week it is. Thursday morning. So Arsenal play West Ham this evening. But I think regardless of how they get on in that game, and, you know, even if they pick up some injuries, I think with the fixtures that Arsenal have coming up, there's a really good chance of some clean sheets there. Obviously, the Liverpool one mixed in there is a tough one, but at the Emirates, I wouldn't completely rule out a clean sheet, particularly with Liverpool not having Salah in the team. Well, that could potentially be the case anyway. He might be back from AFCON at that time, but I'd say he's likely to be out for that fixture. Just, yeah, really like the Arsenal defence. They've got fantastic clean sheet odds, probably over the next 5 game weeks, the best clean sheet odds of any team. Arteta seems to have settled on the back four that you're seeing next to me. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. They've all got their strengths and weaknesses, in my opinion. And to be honest, I don't really need to go through them. I think most people watching this video kind of know that. Saliba's the most nailed. Gabriel, probably the most goal threat. Zinchenko gets forward the most. And Ben White is a balance between really all 4. But he does have Tomiyasu for competition in his position. And we've seen all of Ben White, Gabriel and Zinchenko be rotated. So that's kind of my summary on the Arsenal defence. But just as a whole, I think it's worth investing in them. Oh, didn't include David Raya, of course, but obviously he's included in that list as well. He's a goalkeeper, not quite a defender, but he'll get the same points that the defenders do for clean sheets. So have to consider him as an option too. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. If you did, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments what you think of those players to buy that I've suggested. And yeah, if you want to see more content from me, please hit the subscribe button that should be in and around there. And I will catch you in my next video.